Yo, 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 what is up, my fallopian tubers? Cesario from the barrio coming back at you with another video for your butt. And today is going to be a video response, man, for the card hobbyist. Okay? So he wanted to know 5 things about you that he might not know, or some YouTubers might know. So we're going to start off with 5 facts. I made a few facts and then I narrowed it down to 5, like things that were left out was that I used to own half of Charmin like about 2 years ago. And I traded my stock in Charmin for a 53 Mickey Mantle, man. Best decision I ever made. All right. And if you didn't know, I also used to be Mr. Mexico 1995. It's like Mr. Universe and working out, but an amateur in Mexico. Simon ese Pepino was Mr. Mexico 1995. Hey, what you got on that, Holmes? Make sure you work out your glue thing. Ciao. All right, so those are just a couple of facts that didn't make the list. One thing people may not know is that I was born in Mexico, so I'm domestic. I was imported over here like many times a year. So yeah, I'm a straight Mexican, fool. Viva Mexico, cabrones! Para pa para pa para pa pa para pa para pa para pa pa. All right, so that's one fact you might not know about me is I was born in Mexico. All right. Yeah, I used to come over across the border a couple times a year, man. Like every Easter, we used to go down to a week to San Felipe. You name it, Christmas, Thanksgiving, every holiday, we spent it over there, and I'd come back. My ass would come back illegally. All right. Another fact is that I was in Spanish class, well into the 2nd grade. Wasn't until the 3rd grade that they put me in English classes. So one time towards the end of the 2nd grade, I was helping my friend in his class. It was a rainy day. We went to his class to watch a movie, and he was in the English class. And I was helping him do his homework. And the teacher saw us, and she didn't know that I can read and write English. So I told her, yeah. So she said, okay, the next year we're going to put you in English. But what ended up happening is, my parents, I remember they got separated during the summer. And beginning of 3rd grade, I started school in another city in Almani. So they had me in Spanish class there. But then when my parents got back together, which happened many times in my life, for a period of 5 years, man, they would separate on and off. And we would move, come back. We would move, come back. So I moved a lot. It was easy for me to find friends, so it was never a problem. But, so when I went back to school in Baldwin Park at the beginning of 3rd grade, they put me in English class. And then after that, I was in English, the rest. I was even in advanced English in high school and junior high. All right. And another fact is, hold on, man. Man, I lost my breath doing that dance. And I also spent a lot of time in juvenile hall. Because I didn't go to school. So by the 10th grade, when mostly in the 11th, once they found out I wasn't going to school at all, my mom reported me. She put me on probation. And part of my probation was that I would miss a class of school, I would go to juvie. So I remember the first day I went to juvie for 1 day, Then I went again for 2 days, then 4, then a week, then a month, then 3 months, and then I got a year sentence. All right, that was already by like my senior year. So, and to tell you the truth, it wasn't that bad. I remember I used to write a lot. Oh man, I would read a lot of books. I read a lot of books. Remember, I read the Boys of Summer baseball book when I was locked up. But one of the things is I used to write a lot, and so I got a lot of headway. I don't know how to say it. They call it juice back then. I had a lot of juice in there because I would write letters to everybody's girlfriends, on behalf of them, pretend it was them. Basically, I would write it, and that, man, it would be so mushy, like, oh, I love you and this and that. I can't wait to, oh, I used to write mushy stuff for them. And then they would just write it in their writing and send it off. And all their girlfriends loved it, man. So I had a lot of juice and I was locked up, man. So I had it going good. It was not a bad time. I remember I got released early because I was locked up during the riots, the Rodney King riots. So I was supposed to get out in like December, and they released me in September. And I was pissed because, there was an Optimist group in there. I was locked up in Malibu, California, in the mountains. And there was an Optimist group of Malibu, a bunch of old men who had like a contest, an essay writing contest. And I wrote an essay, and I won. So I was supposed to get a trip with them to Magic Mountain and Disneyland. But because I got released early, I didn't get to go. And I was like, no, I don't want to get out yet. Keep me locked up till take those trips. But I got released early. But yeah, I used to do a lot of reading and writing juvie, man. And it was not that bad for me. Another fact you might not know about me is that after I got out of juvie, I got my GED and I went straight to college. I had actually enlisted in the Army, but because I was still on probation, I couldn't go till I got off probation. So in the meanwhile, I enlisted in Rio Hondo, and I majored in mass communications. And mass communications back then was about being involved in movies. I wanted to be a cameraman. Straight out of high school, I went to college thinking I want to be a cameraman. I just want to work in the industry of making movies. I used to love movies. And so to pay for my college, I got into I looked online at the library, and I looked at a bunch of Optimist clubs, same thing that I learned when I was locked up about all these opportunities. And I entered a lot of contests about writing essays with all kinds of Mexican groups and stuff. And man, I ended up getting like a couple $1,000 from essays, like 500 here, 300 there, 200 there. And basically I was able to pay for my college for a whole year straight out of high school. My parents didn't have money to pay for that. So I paid for it myself while I'm writing essays, winning scholarships. So I was quite the writer, and I was in math. Oh man, and it was badass because when we used to go to class, we used to watch all kinds of old classic movies like Barfly, 12 Angry Men, and we used to also go to world movie premieres before they were released, and we would actually review the movies. They would ask us for a review and all this, when we turn them in or whatever. All right, so that's another fact about me. I went to college at first to be a cameraman, but didn't work out that way. And I don't know. Another fact is that I have asthma. If you guys didn't know, that's why I ran out of breath, man. Doing that little dance right now. I have asthma, and it's not something I was born with. I didn't get it. Took about 15 years ago while I was working at a sports complex. So definitely scared as shit about this coronavirus. It's not a joke to me, because if I get it, more than likely I'll die because I have compromised lungs, and it's a respiratory infection. So, but I try to keep it cool, play it safe. But yeah, I have asthma, man. And I remember the first day that I discovered that I got asthma 15 years ago. I live right next to the Sierra Nevada mountains, and the mountains were on fire, man, for like weeks. I remember it was like a big thing, like a California disaster. The mountains were on fire, but it was just the mountains, so the public was kind of safe, but except for the people who lived obviously in the mountains, because it just like burned the whole mountainside. But yeah, man, I worked at a sports complex, and they were set dead on, man, that they wanted to play. I was working graveyard shift, right? And it was raining, dude, raining ashes. It just kept falling. So I'm over here trying to blow all the stadiums and the baseball fields, try to keep them clean. And this thing was like a big circle. And every time I go in a circle, areas that I already cleaned, by the time I come back, their ashes already fell down again, because it was raining ashes the whole time. And then I was working graveyard, so like at 6 in the morning, the general manager came in, and he's like, we're going to play, man, we're going to play, because they were all about money. They didn't want to lose money. And I remember I did not have any earplugs. We ran out of earplugs, but I did at least have one mask, man, an old mask, because I remember we ran out of masks too, and I saved my mask. And by like 8 o'clock, 8:30, I think, the guy was still like, we're gonna play. I was like, dude, no one's gonna want to come play. It's fucking like a natural disaster right here. It was still raining ashes. And then the fire department came. The fire department came and they told them like we couldn't play like all activity outside. It was like a code red, whatever it was, you know. And I remember when I went to when they finally told me we're going home, it's canceled, we're not gonna play. And I went to the shop and I looked in the mirror. My whole face was black faced. My whole face, my arms were black except for this mouth. It was like an opposite Homer Simpson. This was all white. You know what I mean? It looked funny. I was like, oh shit. Because every time I was talking to a different cop, a different fire guy, different people that would come in, they would all give me a weird look, but I didn't know why until I got to the shop and I looked in the mirror. I mean, my face was totally black, except for a big round white spot I had right here. But the next day, I had my first asthma attack, dude. And I remember going to the hospital, and I spent a week at the hospital, man, with my first asthma attack. I mean, my lungs were bad. And I remember getting out of there, and like a week later, I got like a bill for like $6,000. And I had to get emergency Medicare because I didn't have insurance, and emergency Medicare paid for it. But one of the things I do remember about that is when I was there, they gave me 2 different types of steroids. One was an anti-inflammatory, and then one was like a recovery one, so my lungs would recover fast. And a week later, when I played my first softball game again, I hit my first fucking home run out of the stadium. All right, and it seemed like for between 2 weeks and 4 weeks, I was hitting dingers, dude, left and right. And then like after that, it went away. You know, it's like, damn, steroids is the shit. But yeah, I don't get the same type of steroids as my first one. I got them like twice, man. And believe me, oh man, you can work out like an animal when you're on that stuff. So that's about it, man. The only cool thing I have to say about that fire, I was going to school at that time for agriculture and horticulture, and my teacher there, I remember Dave Lanham, rest in peace. He was already older, man, and he was talking about how they can never figure out how to propagate, which is like reproduce these native oak trees that lived in the mountains, you know, and they were like 1,000 years old. And he said, man, pretty soon all those trees are gonna die, and we don't know how to propagate them. You know, he's like, we've tried everything, scarified them, this and that. We tried everything. We don't know how to reproduce them, so they're gonna die out. And then after that fire, the next year, he was crazy happy with joy, man. Crazy. Oh my God, those trees are reproducing. That's what they needed. They needed to be burned. He's like, the seeds needed to like burn and pop. He's like, we never thought about burning the seeds, you know, to make them grow. And so that was like a good positive that came out of that. I might have got asthma, but damn it, those trees reproduced. All right, so that's it, card hobbyists. I mean, I know this video sucked, stupid facts, but those are 5 things maybe you guys didn't know about me, man. All right, so love the hobby, people, and keep collecting baseball cards forever. Rest that. Ciao. If I had some nuts on my chin, would those be chin nuts? Hell no, you would have a